Hello and welcome to That's Rad, Life, Love, and Wedding Planning in the Pacific Northwest. I am Rad, your host and wedding planner for now over 10 years in Victoria, BC. And after a little bit of a hiatus, we are back with season 4 of That's Rad. And I'm so excited to have our guest Dakota from Boom Event Rentals and Good Party on today to talk all about her experiences in the industry from the very beginning until now. Welcome to the show, Dakota.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
And you're so glam right now. I know it's like 10 in the morning.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. It was a lot of work.
So, how are you? How are things? We saw each other like a month ago.
Yes, things are good. Just getting ready for wedding season and all the things that are weddings. Yeah, it's been great. How about you?
Yeah, it's been like nonstop computer work, I feel like. The thing that nobody tells you about wedding planning.
Yes, yes. That 90% of your life is behind a screen.
Yeah, and then the other 10% is actually on site, sweating a lot.
Yes.
Okay, we're not here to talk all about that, but I wanted to talk to you more because I feel like it's been a long time since I've had a planner on the podcast.
Cool.
And I want to talk about you and memorable moments and like how you got into this. So, can we start there? How did you get into this?
Yeah, well, I started wedding planning unofficially probably like 15 years ago. And like party planning, I was always like the one out of my group of friends that kind of just had the decorations together. And I was always the one that was comfortable organizing and talking to vendors and things like that. And my sister in law, so my husband and I met at work, dated, kind of were together for a couple of years, and my mother-in-law throws these like epic Christmas Eve parties. And so Emma, who owns the Good Party, was best friends with my sister-in-law in high school, and she used to often attend these Christmas parties. And so I remember one night she was there, and my mother-in-law and Ashley were sort of talking about how like fabulous her company was, and everything she was doing, and I kind of got a little drunk and worked up enough courage to go talk to her. And I kind of just went up to her and sort of like mumbled something like, if you ever want someone to follow you around and put flowers in a vase, like I'm your girl. And I was like, I just kind of want to get some experience. And then the next day she had sent me an email and she was like, I didn't forget what you said. And like, I'd love to meet you for coffee. And then the next day we had a meeting at Starbucks at Uptown and she hired me on the spot and I've been with her ever since. So I think February 2018 was my like first official planning project with the Good Party, and it was our styled shoot at Uptown, which was
Oh my
so fun.
gosh.
Yeah,
Wow.
so long ago.
What a
Things just,
journey.
yeah.
And I mean, I feel like so much has happened since then. Like, how do you feel like your planning style has changed from then to now?
That's actually a really good question. I feel like when I first started, I was so excited about what Instagram weddings were. Like I wanted to be like on the trends and all of those things. And I think as I've kind of matured and as I've got older, it's more about the sentimental, the value, and how to build long lasting relationships with clients. I think is like my most overall big achievement. I think being a wedding planner is that I'm able to maintain these relationships throughout years and years after the weddings, going to babies' birthday parties and things from clients from years before. I think when I was really young and in the beginning, I was just so eager to kind of learn everything all at once. And I was absorbing and absorbing. I didn't really take the time to just sort of like be in the moment. And I think now, as a more of an experienced wedding planner, I think being in those moments and really getting to know your clients as friends first, I think is really just like my favorite thing.
Yes, and I feel like that also helps in having like a good fit and like an open, honest working relationship so that like everyone can say what they want to without feeling like you're walking on eggshells.
Totally. Yeah. I think being able to make people laugh is the most relaxing thing, especially when you're talking about weddings. Like for us, it's our thing, it's our job, it's what we do. But for these people, for our clients, it's their first time getting married most of the time. They don't know what they're doing. They're trusting us with their day. And I think when you're kind of like your initial consultation, if you're very serious and very poised, you're kind of like robotic, that's not going to do much for them either, right? I think it's all about being bubbly and fun and welcoming. And I think that just works so well for everyone.
Oh my gosh, speaking of, I remember my very first client that I ever met. I like followed the book, the Wedding Planners Institute book to the
Yes.
T, brought my little kit and everything. And I think she knew I was so nervous that she gave me a giant hug at the end of it. She was like,
Yeah.
"Can I hug you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I could use a hug." But like, it's funny that you say that because I found that we ended up booking clients that maybe weren't necessarily the right fit for my personality or my way of doing things because we were following the script.
Yeah.
But you don't know any better at that point.
Totally. And that's the thing too, is like we're so good here with our team. It's the initial consultations, getting to know the person, and we've got a good group of girls so that there's kind of someone for everyone. And I think that that's something to say because it's true. Like I'm really loud, I'm outgoing, I've got a little bit of a potty mouth, which doesn't go over very well for people, but I use it as an adjective. I don't use it to be offensive. And I feel like there's certain clients that work really well with me, and there's certain clients that work really well with other people, that are maybe a little bit more soft, a little bit more gentle. Like I have no problem being like black and white, this is going to work for you, this isn't. And I think that that vibe works for a lot of our clients in a
That's
good way.
totally fair. Yeah. And I just heard that apparently if you swear, you live longer. So congratulations.
Thank you. I'm going to take that. I'm going to remember that forever.
So, and I know you now have an event rental company on top of everything else. How did that happen?
Well, so this is kind of a bit of a labor of love. Like we all remember Darling Vintage, shout out Jen and Brad. And when they sort of closed down their rental shop, we were all so devastated. And it just kind of happened one wedding. One of the girls on the team was really wanting a white wood bar, and we couldn't find anything that kind of matched the aesthetic for her wedding. And I was one of the only ones left on the team that was still kind of chatting with Jen quite a bit. My husband and her are both CPAs, so they kind of have their own little connection there and for their professional stuff. And so I just reached out to her and I was like, hey, I'm going to be in Nanaimo. Like, can I pop by for a visit? I'd love to say hi and just kind of see you. And I'd heard through the grapevine that she was thinking about moving some items out and she was looking to sell some of her inventory. So I went up and we walked in looking for bars and ended up leaving with like almost over, well, not almost, almost half of her stuff. Like we got her candle holders, we've got bars, we've got the Prosecco champagne walls, we've got like everything. It was so great. We were kind of sticking away from like the plates and the cutlery and things like that, and we wanted to just do more of like a tabletop kind of like just decor items. And now it's turned into this like big thing, and now we're building custom rentals for event planners that have big requests and things like that. It's just been growing, and it's pretty great.
That is amazing. So I'm always curious when things come back, how much like time does it take to like get it all ready for the next one and do the after work?
Yes. So we do a lot of stuff in our house. So that part has been a bit challenging. Sometimes we use industrial things to clean the coops. Our coops are the most, like one of the most popular things we rent. So we try and keep those clean as much as possible. As soon as they're washed, we kind of wrap them and store them. But it has been interesting just keeping things kind of in order. I think candle holders, I think everyone that owns a rental business can say that candle holders are the most annoying thing to get back with wax in them.
Yes.
And
And I
like
try so hard, but sometimes.
you know what? I actually kind of figured out a way that works with like hot water and like a little bit of Dawn dish soap, and it's not stressful anymore. So I've kind of like figured out a way to navigate that. But actually, we're pretty fortunate that all of our rentals have come back in excellent condition. I think we've only ever had one candle holder broken. But yeah, we've been pretty fortunate. So knock on wood there. We're lucky.
Yes, knock on wood. Only I was having this conversation with somebody about how when vapes first came out, I had a tablecloth that had a burn hole in it, like a perfect hole. And I was trying to figure out where it came from because I was like, the candle holders didn't get too hot or whatever. And she was like, it was vapes. She's like, we got back so many of those. And this was a planner on the mainland. And I was like, oh, so this is a common problem at the
Yeah.
beginning that none of us had any idea where these holes were coming from.
It's so funny. I never even thought that a vape would burn through a linen, but I guess if it's sitting there and you're kind of hauling on it all
Yeah.
night.
And also, yeah, I don't know. Maybe like when they were brand new, they weren't as like heat proof.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Yeah,
crazy. The
I
amount of
know, right?
Yeah, because the linens were a bit of a labor of love, that was one thing we decided against because I have a bit of OCD in cleaning linens, and if things come back with stains and I can't get them out, it would just drive me
Mm.
absolutely up the wall. So my husband and I decided no linens.
That is completely fair. So you mentioned that you're doing a lot of the things out of your house. Do you have any other challenges that you're facing? Or like when you started the business, did you have any challenges?
Not really. I was fortunate enough to have a leg in the industry. When we started doing the event rentals, everyone was quite welcoming right away. Like super big shout out to like Crystal from Tabletop. She was like so sweet and like right on it, like right away asking me for things and using them and, kind of utilizing our business right away, even before we kind of got started. So there's been a lot of people that have been really supportive. Like obviously the girls on the team, anytime they needed something and it wasn't available on the island, they'd send me a message and go, could you please bring these in? And so we've actually got quite a bit of stuff that's not even on our website, which I'm so bad at that. I need to get that back on the website. I need to spend more time focusing on that. But yeah, it's great to watch it grow.
It's amazing. It sounds like you need like a co-op student or an assistant or something.
Yes, yes, hopefully.
And I'm going to do the same probably now that I know that you're taking requests.
Yes, yes, please let me know. It's so hard on our island. Like, there is so much more off the island in terms of what's available for rentals. Bringing things in and looking at a price tag when you love your client and then you have to send them an invoice that says, here's your $700 to $1,000 delivery charge on top of it. That just kind of gives me the ick a little bit. And like, weddings are already so expensive. We're the queens of trying to figure out how to keep costs down and keep things effective. So we're looking at sourcing things locally, wood locally, having things made on the island, and doing everything to kind of help grow our industry back up and support a lot of local businesses. So yeah, if there's anything you need, let me know. Let Cody
I
and I know.
definitely will. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because we actually have a couple coming here from Atlanta and they were looking at getting a lot of things off island. And then you see like all the delivery fees adding up and different decisions were made.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then you kind of want to resource back in, like Sandy from Decorate Victoria, she's just got her new website up, and thank the Lord, because if you look at that stuff, no one had any idea that that was even in her warehouse.
Yeah, I
Like,
know. I
that's
was
amazing.
so
There's
happy.
Yes, there's so much, and people forgot that she did all the movie sets in Victoria. Like, if you want something, always start kind of with Sandy or Designer Weddings Linda. Like, those women have a lot of stuff that they've built up over the years, and that they've got an incredible amount of inventory. And sometimes if your clients want something, you can also get away with like draping it a little differently, and things are really utilized differently. And I think we need to start pounding more on the island and getting more of our local guys, giving them some more business.
100%. I think we ended up taking like a carload to the roof to Salt Spring Island because there wasn't anything available like back in 2018 in terms of rentals. And I was like, I want to save them rental costs. So to the roof, everything filled. We got it all there.
That's good. Congratulations. That's honestly, I remember when I first started and I had a Hyundai Veloster. It was like the three-door little like hatchback car. And I remember my first wedding, I couldn't even properly load one bin in the back seat without having to like open all of the doors, the trunk and everything. And it was just awful. And then the next year I got a truck and I never looked back.
Perfect.
One and done. Never again.
So, what do you think, in your opinion, makes a memorable event? I want to think like talk like good and the bad, and maybe even the ugly.
The good, I think, little moments, I think. I feel like when you want to make a memorable event, it's all about guest experience. My brain immediately goes to guest experience. Like some kind of cute food station, a boozy lemonade cart, like shout out Bubble Bus Co. I'm a big fan. Like, I know the Kardashians kind of started that black and white photo booth trend, whatever. I'm not a fan of Kardashians. But what Derek and Lindsay have, I think, is the biggest thing as a memorable guest experience is having that black and white portrait studio, having your photos, having those printed out right away. I feel like we're in this more modern era. Like, nobody's taking their wedding favors home anymore. There's often at the end of the night, I'm finding like if somebody makes a cute little thing like a jar of jam or honey or something, there's a lot of that left on the table. There aren't a lot of photos left over at the end of the night, if you know what I mean, with those unlimited printouts. I think those kind of memorable experiences, you're putting your money where it matters, and then for that a couple of $1,000s, you're creating an experience for your guests that's memorable. You're also getting your favors kind of in there, and it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone. I think those little kind of experiences throughout the day, through cocktail hour, through reception, having somebody that's doing your emceeing that's hilarious, I think makes a huge impact on making your wedding memorable. There's nothing like a funny MC. You know what I mean? Like, to just have your entire group of everyone you love around you, 150 people or 30, whatever your guest count is, just laughing their ass off because somebody's just, there's something to say about that. And I think my opinion here might be a little unpopular, but for the bad, I am a big person on cut the fat. If you have someone in your family that is causing you stress, anxiety, that you know that you're having to sit them away from somebody, you have to strategically keep them from somebody else, you think that they're going to have a fight, you think that they're going to be somewhere. We love our family and friends, but if they're going to ruin the best day of your life, cut the fat. Have a nice party later. I don't know. Make your wedding guests count smaller so you don't feel as awkward. I think that's the biggest thing that I've learned with clients that have said from day one, well, there's this person that's coming and I think they're going to have an issue and, they're going to be something. And then they don't cut the fat. And then come wedding day and that person causes a major problem. Whether it's a fist fight, throwing a bride in a pond, in her wedding dress, in front of guests. Like, we've seen some
No
things.
way.
There's been some things I won't go into too much, but I think having people around you that are for you, that love you, that are with you is the most important part of your wedding day. It's not a show. It's about you and the person that you're wanting to marry. I think that it's totally appropriate to have everyone you want around you, and it's okay to keep people out.
Yeah, and I mean that goes back to like what we say always about community, and it's like bring the
Totally.
people that are going to lift you up and don't worry about the rest.
Yeah.
And I mean when worse comes to worse, just blame the venue. You're like, "Oh no, our venue can't fit that many people."
Yeah. That's the best. Yeah. That's a good fallback.
Have you found that couples have changed since you started? I know we talked about like the changes that you've experienced, but what about the couples themselves?
I mean, I feel like I don't know if you feel this way, but I feel like ever since COVID, obviously, I hate using that word. I hate saying it. I hate bringing it back to life. But ever since COVID, couples have a more intense way of wanting things done right away, a certain way, at least a little bit. Not necessarily in like a negative way. I just think that the intensity of COVID kind of ramped up everything. And I think everybody's kind of sitting here instead of a little bit calmer like it used to be. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I feel like there's a little bit more like an urgency to get things done and to find things at the right price and to get things sort of where it used to kind of be more like calm and flowy. And I feel like now it's a little bit more like strict, but I guess it kind of comes and goes. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some people will take a really long time to make certain decisions, and other decisions are like same day, they're done.
Yes.
So I have been finding that like the things that used to be that it was really quick to decide, like say like your catering, people are taking a lot more time to like be intentional with that and like find out where the food is coming from and find out if they really like it and like really like digging into like the tastings.
Yes.
And I think that's good because then you're not getting like the same kind of meal and you're getting a meal that like you actually want to eat that you're excited about. Like one of our couples, she's just so excited about beets that her entire like sheet of notes was just beets, beets, beets.
I love that. Are you going to use Deadbeat's food truck?
No, they're getting married at the Empress.
I'm sure they can have a nice beach buffet. Come on, Empress. Pull out all the stops.
Yeah. How many
That's
different ways
awesome.
can you do beets?
Hey, I think that could be really exciting. I love a good beet with some goat cheese. You know?
Yeah,
So good.
I know. It's perfect. And some honey in there. Yeah. And now we're like hungry at like 10:30 in the
I
morning.
know, like now I'm starving. I do have Cassie is here with me in the studio today, and we have some chocolates, and so I've
Ah,
been snacking on a box of chocolates. So I wish you were here and you could enjoy them with me. So if you see me munching, it's the chocolates.
I won't tell anyone. What memories stick out to you? I know you already mentioned one briefly. That was not so great, but is there anything else that you remember that
Um,
you look back on?
I feel like I have so many memories. I think I kind of touched on former clients, past clients, being able to like watch their kids grow up and things like that has just been pretty cool. I had this one couple back in 2021. Beautiful couple. Actually, as a collective, I think we planned five of the friends' weddings. Like there was like a group of
Mhm.
friends, and I think we planned five of the weddings. And they were so fun. We went to Port Renfrew, and it was like a 5 hour power outage, unexpected, in a storm, wedding day. And like it was probably about 5.5 hours before the wedding was to start was when the power went out. And so you're in Port Renfrew. There is no cell service or anything like that. So I'm having to like drive from my truck from Big Fish Lodge all the way up to the Airbnbs up in Handsome Dan's and back. And then my girls are setting everything up in the dark, and it's like a dark, cloudy October day. It was actually my birthday, and it was so dark and cloudy we couldn't see anything. And these girls, like my assistants, were like the sweetest things. They're laughing, they're having the time of their lives. The bride and groom had kind of left their own personal boxes of decor for us to take out. It was like a mix and match of rentals and DIY. It was kind of the vibe up there anyway, being like right on the beach. It was beautiful. And we just made it work. And we're pulling things out of the bag in the light, like running outside, trying to see what the color is and like where we can put it. It was so fun and ended up like half an hour before the ceremony, power came back on. And it was like, I think we all cried like 5 times in an hour. It was like hilarious. That was probably like one of my most exciting moments was when that power went on and we had like a room full of like vendors I've never really worked with because it was all the way up there. And it was so fun. I'll never forget it. The bride and groom were so happy. We kind of did like a reveal of the event space with them walking through as they were going to walk down the aisle, and it was just like beautiful. I think the bride and I cried a couple times and hugged before she went down the aisle, and we're trying to like clean up her makeup. It was great. Yeah, I've had some interesting. One of my favorite standout memories of all time was a dry wedding. I won't name any vendors because I love them all, but we had it was a very dry wedding. The bride and groom are recovering alcoholics, and which is like, the entire wedding they just asked that no one drink. It was a little bit of an earlier start, a little bit of an earlier finish wedding. The one thing that meant anything to the bride was having creme brulee, and it was like mentioned to catering on my notes in our meetings at the tasting. It was creme brulee, creme brulee, creme brulee. When you bring out that dessert board, it's got to have like 19 creme brulees on it. That's the only thing that matters to this sober bride. So desserts come out, the board comes out, and I'm looking at it, and it's kind of like in production, like below, like they hadn't brought it out yet. It was still cocktail hour, and so I kind of got a sneak peek of the desserts that were coming out later on. And I went and looked, and there's no creme brulee. And so I sort of went over to the caterers, and I was like, hey, where's the creme brulee? And it was like, we don't know anything about creme brulee. There's no creme brulee in our notes. There's no nothing. So it was just like, no time to fester. I have to like go into over control mode. And so I just called my husband, who, as we call them on our team here, we call them the good husbands, because like I'm about to talk about, they come out time and time again and save our asses. We're in the middle of up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. And so I called my husband. I'm like, where are you? And he's like, I'm at the Save on Foods by Costco. And Costco has the best creme brulees that at least I've ever found. So I called him. I'm like, can you whip behind the road, go to Costco, get me creme brulees, whip up here now. Like, I'm in Machosen, like, get here as fast as you can. And he just kind of went, like, I'm about to go golfing. And I was sort of like, golf doesn't matter today. Like, it's this or bust. Like, you got to help me. So he rips up to Costco, grabs the creme brulees, meets me in the middle of the field. I grab the creme brulees from him. I run down into the basement of where we were, and we don't have a torch, so we have 3 barbecue lighters at once on this creme brulee, and they're bringing up this tray, and I just walked right up to the bride with a spoon and handed her the creme brulee right at the same time the desserts came out. She's dancing on the floor, eating the creme brulee, and looked at me and was like, this is the best thing I've ever had, best day ever. And I literally fell to the ground outside and just went like, wow. That was like something I never thought I could pull off. And it was just like, it takes a village. Wedding days are wild. But that was probably like one of my like favorite moments, because she had no idea. That's our job. The bride and groom shouldn't know about the shit that goes on behind the scenes. They don't know about the bad and the ugly. We do. We carry that for them. It's their day. And so doing that and taking ownership of that was probably like one of the most like fun things that we've sort of done. The photographer and I were just like, we were laughing so hard, and he was like, I can't believe you pulled that off. And it was fun. It was cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good thing he wasn't already golfing.
I would have been like, leave the golf course. Yeah, I mean, we've had some pretty great like triumphant moments at weddings. Like I remember talking to Honey Doomy, who's a local drag queen, when I had a pair of grooms getting married at church and state, and they wanted like an epic drag queen kind of surprise performance for their guests. And with like at the same time, Honey and I both said like, man, I feel like a woman needs to happen as the first song. And she like kicked in the doors of church and state and like ran in, and the crowd went wild. It was like one of my other top, I have probably like 50 top wedding moments, but those are probably like my core 3 that just always kind of stand out and just make me smile every time I think about them.
It's funny, my core 3 also include a drag queen, but it's Vivian Vanderpuss.
And then they work together. They're besties.
Yeah.
Those I love them. Shout out to Vicious People.
Yeah, I feel that one wasn't as, I guess, like dramatic. It was more like interrupting, and Vivian was coming from the fish factory and had a gift for them, which was a stuffed fish.
That's so funny. Do you have that on video?
They didn't have a videographer, and I tried to get some video, but I also didn't want to be ruining the guest experience. So I kind of just stayed off to the side.
Yeah, I know. I feel like that too. When there's no videographer, you don't want to be like in the corner with your cell phone trying to, yeah. I know that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like we also had a power outage. It only lasted an hour up at Shawnigan, and everybody like started singing Kumbaya and having like a camp moment. And like somebody had a guitar, and like they used the piano. Yeah, it was not what I was expecting. Not on my bingo card for that year.
Well, I'm glad the musical talent came through for you.
Yeah, I was like, well, I guess this is what happens when you have a wedding at an actual campground.
I love that though. I love a good rustic wedding. I've had some pretty good ones over the years, and when you have a good vendor team, they just like make it worthwhile.
And now I know you just celebrated a wedding anniversary, didn't you?
Well, ours is we celebrate quite a bit, but our
Okay.
wedding anniversary is July 13th.
Okay.
So we celebrated something else recently, which we're always celebrating. It was 10 years together. That's what it was.
Okay.
But it was like because we dated, my husband and I were together for like 3 years, kind of in secret because we worked together. No one really knew we were dating. And
Hmm.
then I kind of, it was weird. And then we bought a place together. So we sort of had to tell everyone at work that where our address was and how things have changed. And then, yeah, so that's kind of how we had several dating anniversaries. So that was our 10 years together. That was what we were celebrating. Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about then like your wedding anniversary is in
Yeah.
July. So anything that you would have done differently for your wedding?
Well, we actually did a surprise wedding. So I don't know if you know this, but we were never engaged. So we were just sitting on the couch drinking a really great bottle of rosé. And he kind of said something to me like, "You can't plan a wedding in less than 2 weeks for under $5,000 or something like that." And I'm like, I don't ever, no, I don't ever back down to a challenge. And I was like, "What? Yes, I could." And I didn't even think about it. And we were already like in the middle of wedding season. Like it was June when we were kind of talking about this. And he was sort of, or no, sorry, it was the first week of July. And then he was like, "Yeah, there's no way," or whatever. And so I just stuck up my hand and shook it. And I was like, "You want to make a bet? Like, should we get married?" And let's do it. And he was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever." And so we shook on it. And then the next day, he's kind of like up showering, brushing his teeth. And I kind of walked in his bathroom and I was like, "Sorry, like, I'm like a little stale and hungover." And I was like, "Do you remember what we talked about last night?" And he was like, "Yeah, brushing his teeth. Like, we're getting married." And it was kind of like, oh, okay, so this is happening. And then fast track a week later, like we had Sherry. Do you remember Sherry Lynn Eastholm? She used to be an associate
Mm-hmm.
with the purple hair.
Yeah.
So I just called Sherry because she was kind of my girl for that summer that I was working with quite a bit. And I just called her and I was like, "What are you doing on Friday morning next weekend?" She's like, "Oh, nothing." I was like, "You want to come officiate my wedding in my condo?" And she was like, "Okay, yeah." So I had my core couple of people, my best friend who's been my photographer for like my entire life, another friend that we had that were our witnesses, and Sherilyn Eastholm. We tied the knot in our loft, didn't tell anyone except those people. I went on site with Emma and we did a wedding like kind of over by Elk Lake that day. And that was my first day meeting Carly, who was on our team. She was like climbing up a ladder and she's like, "How's your morning?" She's like hanging something. I was like, "Great, I just got married." It was so funny. And that kind of like took her back. She was like, "What? You just got married?" And then 2 weeks later, we surprised everyone with like kind of like a bougie barbecue. We had those like fancier picnic tables with adjacent benches, and we had like our favorite foods, which were like handheld little burgers. There was like chicken wings and 4 or 5 different kinds of salads. We had lots and anything you could think of to drink, and then it was like a 4 hours one and done, and that was it. It was awesome. And I think ever since then, we've kind of tried to do something like a little bit of an ode to that on our anniversaries. So we tend to go for food everywhere. Like we don't, my husband's a great cook, but we go to eat more than we should. So for the anniversary, I like to do things like picnic style and kind of go back to that, kind of like glamorizing the picnic a little bit. We have like this cute little table that we have that fits our wine glasses, meat and cheese in the middle, and like our Tommy Bahama chairs, and just go sit on a beach with our dog. And that's honestly the best thing we can do is just spend time together because we're both so busy that that's sort of the best celebration for us is just a little bit of one-on-one time.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you decide to get married in the middle of wedding season.
And then thinking about it now, I'm like, wow, it'd be really nice if our anniversary was like, December or something when like we're not busy. But that's okay. It's part of the job. And I love love more than anything, so it's fine by me.
That's fantastic. I know you may already know this, but we also had a surprise wedding and but I like decided, you have to like make sure that we sell it. So like we did like the whole year, but really the wedding was already planned in like 3 months.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I
Yeah.
know I remember where you guys were engaged, and then I saw that you had kind of what was it supposed to be your rehearsal dinner?
It was supposed to be a surprise engagement party.
A surprise engagement.
Nobody would talk to us about it. We made it as complicated as possible.
Yeah, you have to. We did too. I think we told people it was like Cody's first wine tasting, that he was going to be a sommelier or some reason we lied to get everyone there. I remember we told like 4 different lies. It was awesome.
That's
One of my
great.
friends was like, "Well, I'm in Lululemons," and I was like, "It's not about you. Did you have to buy me a gift or go to like 4 different awkward parties that you didn't want to go to? No, enjoy
That's
it. I
fair.
love you." Yeah,
100%. And it's so interesting too that you say that like that there was like that budget limitation in there too, because like we've had friends that just got engaged and they told me like, "Hey, can we like plan a wedding for like under $10,000?" And I was like, "Depends on what you want to do."
yeah.
Because like if you want like the full plated dinner in a hotel and all of that, 10,000 isn't going to get you very far.
Yeah, I mean, remember in the good old days, $10,000 used to be like a full all-inclusive wedding for 100 people down in Mexico, and now it's way more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah, it
even want
just,
to know.
I know. There's been times though where I've been at a resort and watched them set up chairs at a wedding and just like excused myself from my family and just walked over and just started helping. I just can't resist.
That's fair. I mean, I restrain myself.
See, after a couple of tequilas, I can't.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the tequila, blame it on that.
Well, actually, this is a really good segue. So I'm gonna start do a little game with you, wedding this
Perfect.
or that.
Okay,
So
ready for
we're gonna start right away. You can do a quick answer. You can explain yourself. You can do whatever you want.
okay.
Okay, cocktail style or sit down?
Cocktail style.
Open or cash bar?
Cash only. Yeah, I will touch on this a little bit. Open bar, I don't like that people will take a sip of a beer, put it down, go out for a smoke, or go chat with someone and come back and forget about it and get another drink. So that's on the couple. I like if you kind of have a little bit of ownership, like a toonie bar or something small. The idea of open is great if you have a smaller crowd. I'll go with that.
I feel the same. And I also think too that like if you're gonna do open, you could do like open for like say the cocktail hour and then like do like dinner wine and then leave it to cash.
Yes,
Like some sort of like mix. I like that a lot better.
totally.
Okay, well, I know might know the answer to this. Plan a wedding in 3 months or 3 years.
3 months.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like you can change your mind so much over 3 years.
Yeah,
Okay, no wedding party or a 10-person wedding party.
no wedding party.
Is that personally or just like in general too?
No, I just kind of like I just like it just being about them. I think when you get 10 or more, then it struggle then it's the photographer struggles a little bit trying to get everyone in one shot. I think in theory it's great. I guess it depends on the person. For me personally, I just love just the couple.
That's fair. I
Yeah.
get it. It's a lot less to manage and it's a lot more time for them to get photos.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, this might be a hot topic, especially because you're in the studio right now, but balloons or paper lanterns?
Ooh. As long as it's biodegradable, I love a good balloon. Balloons bring me joy, so I'm going to go with balloon.
Okay. Backyard or hotel wedding?
Hotel because of all the support that you get.
Yes, so much support. I also find that when you're in a house, even though everything seems like so close, it also seems so far away because there's so many stairs.
Yes. And I
So
feel like
many.
the bathrooms are always a situation. I feel like people often, when they have a backyard wedding and they have more than 50 people attending, they always want to just use their own bathrooms. And I strongly recommend not doing that because then your bathroom gets trashed, your house gets trashed with people going in and out. I think break the bank and get those like Dave from Black and White's like toilet trailers. Those things are a godsend.
They are so
Godsend.
nice.
And they
So
smell
nice.
nice. They
Yeah.
smell nice.
And then I think they like the one that I was in also even had like cloth, like towels, like real
The navy
towels.
blue ones.
Yeah. And I was like, this
Yes.
is perfect.
It's bougie. We love a good bougie toilet.
Yes. Okay. Would you rather work a wedding on a Saturday or the Sunday of a long weekend?
Sunday. I love a Sunday wedding.
I do too. And then I feel like you can kind of like relax the next day because you know, maybe some load out, but then you have the rest of the day to yourself.
Yes. The day of the wangover. You need a day.
Yes, that's a good term for it.
The wedding hangover, in case anyone's wondering what that meant.
Okay, would you rather deal with a last minute vendor cancellation or a wardrobe malfunction?
Wardrobe malfunction.
Really?
I have a history with fashion design, like with menswear and things like that, and I kind of feel like it's ricocheted a little bit into females things and wedding dresses and things. And I know that like there's been a few times Emma and I have like pulled out and like fixed a wedding dress going from like with a big catastrophe going from photos to ceremony, and in the middle of the limo we had them like veer off and go to Lily Kennedy's shop and have something fixed. Like I feel like that would be more obtainable for me. I feel like a last minute vendor cancellation would just stress me out too much.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, because then you have to call everybody and anyone and see if they're available. I don't know. Wardrobe functions for me, I feel like maybe it's just because it takes so much time, but it doesn't actually. I feel like it takes so much time. Like we like sewed like the chicken cutlets, like the fake boobs into somebody's dress once, and I was like, why does this feel like it's taking forever? And then I was like, oh right, it's like 100 degrees out. That's why.
When your hands are sweaty and you're trying to like hold the needle and you're like, this is a nightmare. Yeah, guess that's true too. When you put it that way, they both kind of were like, ooh.
I gave you an impossible situation, basically. Would you rather a morning or afternoon wedding?
If it's morning and it's brunch themed, brunch, I think hands down overall have been like my favorite weddings. Yeah, I love eggs Benny and a mimosa. I think it's my favorite thing to eat and drink if we're talking about events, and just like having that at a wedding, I think would be so fun. I just love it so much.
I know. I feel like the brunch weddings are coming back because of all of the expenses people are realizing weddings are.
Yes, exactly. It's like, oh, it's going to be what, less than half if we go like in the morning? Okay, let's do.
All right, you might have already answered this question too, but would you rather a margarita or a mimosa?
Oh, are we talking morning or afternoon? I'm gonna say mimosa. I love prosecco. I think prosecco's delicious. I'm gonna go with that.
Final answer?
Yes, final answer.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to thank you so much for being on the show. And I
Awesome.
guess we'll have to go get some mimosas sometime.
Yes, please. I mean, I'm free this weekend. Hit me up.
Perfect. Is there anywhere that people can get in touch with you? Anything you'd like to share that's coming up?
We're just really excited about what's coming with Boom Event Rentals. So watch our Instagram, and we're going to start slowly showing things on our stories soon on our progress and what's going on. And yeah, hit me up on Insta.
Awesome. Thank you so
Awesome.
much,
Thank
Dakota.
you so much. This was so fun.
This was great. All right.
Awesome.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
A huge thank you to Dakota for joining us for the very first episode of season 4. We'll be back every Tuesday for the foreseeable future with another guest and a great conversation. In the meantime, stay rad.
Can you get into the funk tonight? Can you stomp to the beat and sway to the right? Can you feel it deep down in your soul? Can you dance to the rhythm and lose control? Can you let it move you? Let it choose you. Get in the funk and the funk will flow through you. Up and down, you'll be bouncing like a yo-yo, feeling frisky, dancing at the disco. Let's get up and dance. You got me